So, this video is going to be quite the doozy. We're going to be here for a while. I'm pretty sure you saw the runtime. It's going to take us a while to get through this one. But I do think that this one is incredibly important for a lot of young ladies and for a lot of young men as well. I could have just said people. I don't know why I didn't. So, today we're going to be going over an excerpt, or I guess you could say account fudge. What do I even call this? So my bae, Anna Akana, wrote a book, and this book I believe is called Untold Letters, or it's basically a book of stories, or I guess letters that she wrote to her younger sister. And the reason why this is significant is because her younger sister actually committed suicide. And it was interesting enough that her sister's suicide is what actually, inspired Anna, or not even what inspired Anna, but one of Anna's coping mechanisms for it was actually her creation of her YouTube channel and the skits and the videos, so it was a very important life event for her. And I have quite a bit of empathy for Anna, like I really do. It really makes a lot of sense. I totally, my heart goes out to her for having to experience this. But that being said, as much as I adore Anna Akana, I don't agree with her on everything. And I'm about to go in today. Ain't got no choice but to go in on bae. So this is a story called Take Your Birth Control. And the moral of this story, even the title of it, seems to be awfully confused, at least to me. So what we're going to be doing is what I normally do. Responding to a video. This one's going to be kind of long. What I want to preface is saying this. I'm going to be skipping about the good first couple minutes, mostly because she's setting the story up, and I can do that for you. Basically, she meets a guy that she calls Dick, which you will see for obvious reasons. She meets a guy named Dick, and this is right after she, I think, graduated community college, and she's starting to become a background artist on movie sets. She didn't really specify what movie sets, but she's working backstage, basically. So she meets Dick, and she starts trying to, you know what? I'll just let her tell this part of the story.
Could get. Dick asked for my number so he could book me directly, and every week he called me in for work. I loved it. And then one day, when I was signing out, I hadn't known this was on the table. If he was flirting, that meant I could now relentlessly pursue him. It didn't take long before I was bombarding Dick with messages and imagining what his butt looked like underneath those baggy cargo pants.
Now, if you remember a little bit ago, I uploaded a video titled Why Telling Women How You Feel is Useless, right? And in that video I said, one thing I've noticed about a lot of women is they become so solipsistic that they border on delusion. I said something along those lines, and this is what I mean here. Now, Anna, of course, first of all, we have a very lopsided attraction going on just on the face of things, which we're told from Anna's perspective that she was the one relentlessly pursuing Dick, but it doesn't really sound like Dick ever really reciprocated the affection, which will be blatantly obvious as the story continues. But it is very important to highlight this because a lot of ladies love this bullshit. And I can understand why. I've made numerous videos commenting on it and talking about it. Why women like chasing guys. Usually because women are oftentimes the ones pined for, and when women are not getting the pining attention from a male, their foolish minds believe that this means that the guy is worth something. And in order to prove herself to be special to this individual, she tries to pursue the guy who's not giving her a lot of attention. Much to her detriment, because it never ends up well, and it never ends up helping her out, because she doesn't recognize that the nigga's not giving her attention because he doesn't fucking like her. The reason why it's important to highlight this is because your actions have consequences, ladies. You will see what I mean as the video continues. So, Anna's going to tell us how her delusional mind worked to create this romance novel out of shared grief. This is also very, very important. Pay close attention to this, my friends.
And then I found out.
My brother died.
I'm sorry. And since I had lost a sister as well, my delusional self immediately created an entire romance novel starring us.
Two survivors. We were meant to be together. We would
help each other heal.
In my head, we had an insanely deep connection that no one else could comprehend. We shared a mutual grief, an understanding of mortality and death.
I was an insane person.
Now, my friends, you must remember that this is post hoc, so like she's self-aware now because she's looking back on it in hindsight, but at the time she's completely devoid of self-awareness. Now, why do I say this? Because remember, this is totally delusional. This connection that she formed is something that occurred out of a similar situation that happened, but the problem is that this is all predicated only on the fact that Dick is an attractive person and she likes him. And how do I know this? Because, well, people lose siblings all of the time, every day. And if not siblings, people lose individuals who are like siblings, like close friends. I've had a couple of my friends, and I'm not joking, I say a couple of my friends commit suicide. However, I know darn well that I would not have this mystical, magical connection with any other woman whose friend also committed suicide unless she was already attracted to me to begin with. Now again, you must ask, why is this important? Why am I bringing this up? For two reasons. One, ladies, you guys are going to have to start obtaining some degree of self-awareness. What occurs next, which you will see as the video goes on, is a not too good relationship if I'm spoiling it for you. But the problem is, if you're predicating your relationship based on something that doesn't actually exist, or you're fabricating an attraction to someone based on some shared experience, you're not actually taking that individual for who they are, but what you want them to be and what you think they are. You're projecting a fantasy over what someone's honest actions are, and it's going to blind you to all of the nasty and abusive behaviors and all of the terrible things that they can even directly, not even sometimes just imply to have, but directly state. So you have to be diligent and recognize when you have an honest connection with someone, when you can honestly relate to someone and they reciprocate that, versus you're just being attracted to them. You just want them to put their dick inside you, or you just want to put your dick inside of her. You guys have to be diligent about this. Why? Because you can end up getting into really long and really terrible relationships, all based off of something as simple as infatuation or a fabricated attraction to someone.
From that point on, I bugged Dick a lot. Finally, he caved.
Now, this is a slight detail, but a very important one. And this is a lesson that both men and women can take. My friends, if you are the one relentlessly bombarding someone with texts, you're the one constantly seeking their attention, if you're the one constantly starting conversations and calling them and trying to hang out, you have to accept that they don't like you. People that like you, people that want to be around you, are gonna make time for you. Now, of course, you gotta take this one with, I like to call, the spirit of discernment. Sometimes you gotta accept, if you have an old friend and they're in college and they're in school, they probably legitimately are busy. But if you're seeing this person is hanging out with lots of other girls or lots of other guys, if you see this person has a healthy social life and they're not including you in it, if this person isn't like trying to reach out to you, not apologizing, not saying something, if they're not trying to get your attention, fam, you gotta accept they don't like you. I've seen this happen numerous times where a guy will say that the reason why he stopped talking to a girl was that he just stopped texting her first and then she never said anything back. And the reason why is because she just wasn't interested. That's just how it be. And both men and women, you got to recognize this, man. If people aren't trying to get your attention, and of course, again, within reason, you got to be reasonable about this. No one has to text you every single fucking day. That's stupid. But if they're not texting you like once a week, if they're not trying once, 2 times a week, if they're not fucking trying, you got to accept they don't like you. Now again, why is this important? Because you can get caught up trying to force a relationship to work, and especially for women. This happens to women a lot, and this can happen to men too, but a little differently. But the problem is, you can become, that's the word I'm looking for, an anchor or a fallback. This can happen to men too. You become a fallback to someone who is manipulative and doesn't care about you. When they recognize that you like them a lot and they can get something out of you, they'll take advantage of it. And they'll keep you there because they know that now that because you've been trying at them over and over again, they now know that you are more invested than they are, and they can manipulate you and they can use that to their advantage, which we'll actually see as the story goes on. Now, Anna neglects to highlight it, but that's why I'm here. I'm going to highlight it for you guys. We're going to continue.
Over dinner, I learned he liked to meditate, loved the outdoors, and he said,
I don't believe in monogamy.
I asked him to elaborate.
It's an outdated concept that no man could possibly uphold.
I, like most hopelessly infatuated idiots, just figured he hadn't met the right person yet.
Now, I want to say this. Women, especially younger women that aren't really focused on that whole making a family thing, all have this very powerful desire to feel special. Women love to feel special, and they love it. They crave it. They need it. It is a burning desire in the souls of lots of young women. And the trick, the one simple trick, I'll tell you straight up, the one trick, if you ever want a girl to like you, is you have to make her feel special. If you do that, you got her. You won. That's it. But now, sometimes, and this is what happens in Anna's case, their delusions or their hopes creates or fabricates a story where they will become special to this guy. How so? You may ask. My friends with the power of their vagina, usually. Most girls don't really have an action plan, but they usually just kind of think that they'll magically be the special person. Now, why is this important? You're probably asking, well, why does this matter? Well, you're going to see why it matters as the story goes on. But it is important, ladies. You must recognize and understand this desire, and you have to master not being manipulated by feeling special and truly understanding what you need out of a relationship and why it's important and why it isn't. And men, I am giving you the order of operations, but my hope is that you use the order of operations honorably and wisely, and that you don't use it to manipulate insecure people, because that's just not right.
Dick and I dated for 1.5 years, and every 3 months he would cheat on me. Every 3 months he would admit his infidelity and say he was sorry. He blamed his behavior on his brother's suicide, saying it had left him broken and damaged. I told myself I understood the whole self-sabotage thing.
Now, this is a great example of what I mean when I say people will emotionally manipulate you when they recognize, that you are far more invested in them than they are of you. Now, what Anna has become here is a fallback girl. She has become some guaranteed poon to this guy. And he knows that he can keep coming back to her, and he knows that he can blame everything that happened on the fact that his brother died. It's actually incredibly manipulative and actually somewhat evil, I have to say. This is really fucking terrible to do this to someone. But he recognizes that this is a weakness that Anna has, and he exploits it. So, it's not just the fact that this is just terrible, but what's also very important is you have to recognize Anna's fault here as well. Because Anna doesn't recognize the clear emotional manipulation here. And she really should have. The reason why she doesn't is because, as we've labeled before, she's delusional, and she's created this special connection that they have with each other only based on the fact that she just finds him to be a good-looking person, really. But blaming the fact that you have sex with other women based on the fact that your brother died is just fucking stupid. It's just foolish. It just doesn't even make any sense. Why would you need to have sex with other women because your brother died? It just doesn't even make sense. It's just not even a reasonable excuse. I mean, seriously, let's think about this one logically for a second. How much sense does it make to get your penis slicked with the vaginal juices of another woman because your brother died? No. You guys don't need to call the Scooby-Doo gang to crack this mystery, okay? You don't need to call Batman to figure this one out. You don't need to go get Sherlock Holmes to come and crack this case. The reason why this guy is able to cheat on Anna so much and so consistently is because he doesn't believe in monogamy. He already fucking said it. There's no mystery. The nigga said that he didn't believe in monogamy. But due to Anna's delusional mind and the fabrication of this relationship she made for herself, she accepts this awful relationship and continues to try to make it work, despite the fact that the man clearly told her, look, man, I don't believe that I should only be with you.
And instead of walking away, I found out his phone's passcode. I would wait until he fell asleep and pore over his messages. He would get mad that I violated his privacy, and the cycle would repeat.
Now, this is incredibly cut and dry. If you end up in a cycle like this, my friends, there's no better way to communicate I don't like you and I don't care about you than to constantly cheat on someone and get caught over and over and over again. If you find yourselves in a cycle like this where you're constantly watching your boyfriend or your girlfriend cheat on you repeatedly, I think everyone understands clearly, at least I would hope a lot of people understand clearly, that person doesn't fucking like you and they don't want you. Seriously, my brothers and my sisters, there is no reason why you should ever need to get your partner's phone password so you can watch them for their cheating ways. No, in the relationship, you're done. Adios. See you later. Have a good one, okay? That's how it should be. Why? Obviously, it's clear and simple why. That person doesn't fucking like you. If that person liked you, they wouldn't hurt you over and over and over again. Can't get any clearer than that.
Despite these very clear red flags, we stayed together. During which time, I got pregnant.
This, my friends, this is why all this stuff is important. That right there. Now, this is what I like to call the arrogance of youth. Not even that I'm all that old, but a lot of young people who haven't really grasped the mortality of their life, or like who haven't been depressed and suicidal. Excuse me. It isn't so much optimism, but tried and true foolishness, where they don't recognize just how deep the consequences of their actions really go. A lot of young people don't really have a great degree of foresight. A lot of young people don't even really have a great degree of like action and consequence, like solidified in their minds. If I do this, then this will occur. You know, Anna is a really good example of this, and just how detrimental, you know, the arrogance of youth really is to a lot of people if you don't recognize it and take steps to understand how all of your decisions and actions have consequences and how they mean something for other people. Particularly for her case, the other person being, you know, I don't want to say it, I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm sure you all understand who the other person here is. Is it even a person, though? Can we even call it a person? It's a clump of cells, isn't it? No, but seriously. My genuine point here is that it seems silly to me that people mock the idea of God and the Lord, of some force in the universe that loves you and cares about you, and then still have like the audacity to say that the universe, the cold, unfeeling existence of just sheer nothingness, somehow will catch you a break. It's just so strange to me, you know, the disconnect. I mean, I'm sure, I understand that it's just an expression, but it's just weird that someone would even say something as stupid as that the universe would like give them a break. Now, that's just a personal pet peeve of mine. What I really want people to focus on is the arrogance of youth and how detrimental it can really be when you don't take into account how all of the things you do have an effect on people in your life.
Then one morning, my nipples felt weird. I knew instantly. Smiley face? Smiley face. Smiley fucking face.
What is this? Okay, this is not a great time for me to have kids. Right? And you should be older. You don't want to have a baby. You should be much older. Hey, look, you should probably have a baby with another guy.
Seriously, he told me I should probably have a baby with another guy.
And that's the man you wanted. That's the man you picked. You can't be mad now. You wanted him.
You have to get an abortion.
Are we not even gonna have a conversation about this?
What conversation?
Amazing. 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 That's amazing. I feel like Jesse Lee Peterson right now. That's amazing. How? I cannot even imagine slightly disagreeing with a woman and her like trying to stay in a committed relationship with me. I can't even do that. Like literally having a different fucking opinion from some of the ladies I talk to is enough to get them to just discount me. Maybe I'm just not that fucking good looking apparently. I could never in my life imagine where I could look a woman dead in the fucking face and say, you need to get an abortion. And then this happens.
I'm not gonna go have an abortion without at least like talking through.
And then she went to go do it. I wish I met a woman who I could tell to go abort my own child. Can you imagine some shit like that though, man? Some man looks a woman that he's been dating in the face and says, you need to kill our child, man, because it's not good for me. And that's the man she picked him though. Yeah.
I had spent years secretly judging my friends for getting abortions.
So, Anna.
How could they destroy a life like that? I thought of them as selfish human beings who killed something that never stood a chance. The view was great from that high-ass horse.
This section makes me incredibly disappointed in Anna. I mean, not really. I mean, yeah, she had an abortion, but it was more the total lack of honor and integrity here. The total lack of integrity and just moral steadfastness. It's amazing that she spent all this time judging her friends and saying that this is awful and abortion is taking an innocent human life, and then here she is doing the same. Just no honor. No integrity.
But of course, when it happens to you, you go through the same reality check. Am I ready to be a mom? No. Is Dick ready to be a dad? No. Do I have the financial means to support a child? No.
But see, that's kind of the issue unto itself. The fact that it has to happen to you before you recognize. I mean, there's an old saying that goes something like this. A wise man learns from his mistakes. A wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. And if you had numerous friends, have an abortion, that as a wiser man, you should have learned from their mistakes and recognized what they were doing so you didn't get caught in it as well. You would think that that would be the moral of the story here, but it's not.
I can barely afford to feed my 3 cats. I eventually came to the same conclusion as Dick. They told me I was only 7 days pregnant. The doctor was very impressed when I told him my clairvoyant nipple story.
I am very impressed with your clairvoyant nipple story.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I was given an abortion pill. What the doctor didn't tell me about the pill is that it makes you nauseous.
I mean, that's a bit neglectful from your doctor, but seriously, this is a pill designed to kill another living organism. I don't imagine that it would feel good, you know.
It's okay. I'm pregnant.
I'll admit that I liked being thought of as pregnant. It made me want to walk around with a pregnant belly and see how I would be treated. All the doors that would be opened for me. Perhaps people would even offer to buy me something to eat.
Now, this, my friends, is remarkable. Her solipsism here is something I've noticed about a lot of younger women, who are around my age and my generation, and how incredibly self-absorbed they are. When thinking about her being pregnant, she doesn't consider the life of her child. She doesn't think about the things she could give to them, apart from the fact that she doesn't have enough money, because that's the only thing children need is just money. They need a lot. They need guidance. They need love. They need care. They need adversity. They need skills. They need so much. But the only thing that she is concerned about is the fact that people will give her stuff. People will give her things. She wonders, being pregnant means that people will treat me well. It's all about me, herself. And my friends, you can't have relationships like that. And you absolutely 100% shouldn't have or even consider your children or being pregnant in this mindset of only thinking about yourself. Because once again, your actions have an effect on other people. In fact, her child didn't even get to be a people. Her child is not even considered a person. It's not even considered a person. It's not even considered a thing. And it never had an opportunity to become. Not because it did anything wrong, but because he had two selfish parents. Shit, child probably didn't even have a gender at that point. And he never will get to have one. Because his parents are solipsistic jackasses. Now, of course, some people would say it's probably good that two selfish people didn't have a child, because then they would neglect them and maybe abuse them. But I just don't really think that the solution is killing the organism when the parents can become righteous people instead.
I imagined being 9 months pregnant and raising a child. But there was one thing I wanted in order to go down that path. Someone who truly loved me.
Now again, you'll notice that she didn't say someone who truly loves their child. Someone who truly loves her, who loves me. Once again, solipsism 101. She's only concerned with herself and not the action and not the effect that it had on another human being that doesn't even get to be considered a human fucking being. You guys not even see just how fucked up in and of itself that this whole conversation is?
Baby, have you thought about how you want to pay me back for your half of the abortion?
I wish I could say some shit like that to a woman.
I wish I could say that Dick and I broke up after this, but we didn't.
There's one thing I used to say back in the day, back in high school, back during my white knight nice guy days. I used to say, I wish a woman loved me enough to where I could cheat on her repeatedly and she'll come back to me. And I would say, I wish a woman loved me enough where I could be mean and insult her and show her constantly and neglect her on a regular basis and have her still pine after me and cry over me and be sad when I don't return her phone calls. I wish a woman loved me that much, only so I could show her I'd never do those things to her. And of course, in my adolescent foolishness, I believed that me loving this woman would somehow become a substitute for her loving herself. And obviously, it never did. My whole point in saying all of this is this woman stayed with someone who told her to kill her own child. And it's not treated with the gravitas that it should be. Somehow, some way, she finds herself still in a fucking relationship with someone who looked her dead in the face and said, you should have a child with someone else. And that's the man she stayed with. But here's the thing. You can't love someone out of their delusion. The only thing you can do is tell them the truth, and hopefully they accept it. Story's almost over, so let's get on through this.
I still thought Dick was my spiritual soulmate, that he was the only person who could possibly understand what I had been through, and vice versa.
Now, of course, again, this is tried and true delusion, because Dick is not the sole human being in the world that's ever lost a simile. I don't even understand. Again, this is all just predicated on one thing. And one thing only, my friends. And I've been saying this for a while now, but hopefully it sticks with you. This whole relationship is predicated on one thing, and that is validation. The reason why Anna is hearkening back to this, the one guy who can understand what I went through, once again focusing on herself. She's not really doing anything for Dick. She's only focusing on what Dick is doing for her, being that understanding force. But more than that, not only is it just, again, her solipsism bubbling all the way through, it's just not even reasonable. It's clear he's not the only human being in the world that could understand you. It's just not even, it's stupid. Plain and simple. But of course, because she's stuck in this fabricated relationship, or she's stuck trying to love or make love out of this idea she created, she can't see the reality in her face. That reality being that this man doesn't care about her and will never care about her, and he doesn't even care about his own seed, considering the fact that he told a woman to kill it. That was that.
I liked the way he smelled, and the color of his eyes, and that he took me to Buddhist meditation sessions. He's the reason I went on a week-long silent meditation retreat.
Again, notice all of the... She does not say anything of virtue. She doesn't say anything about his character. She doesn't say about anything about who he is as a person. Once again, my friends, remember what I said earlier. She liked his eyes. She liked the way he smelled. He liked the fact that he took her to go meditate. I mean, what does that really say about his character too much? But he likes to sit around and do nothing. But think, if he is thinking, I don't know. It doesn't say anything. Most of the stuff she labeled, 2 out of 3, were all superficial things. And they all were things that made her feel good about being around him. But never anything about virtue and never anything about character. And a lot of people end up in relationships not even being able to say why they even like the person that they're with, apart from the fact that they just think that they look good. And there's got to be something more to your relationship. And the reason why is because you might end up getting pregnant and now you have to raise a child in a dysfunctional relationship, or terminate them before they even get to be a child.
I spent 7 grueling days sitting with myself, walking with myself, and living with myself. On the last day of the retreat, we all had to go around and say one word that summed up our experience.
Love.
Whole.
Discovery. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
And it clicked. This is me. I'm a person who makes other people laugh. I felt peaceful, and I loved myself without shame or neuroses or arrogance. And when I was having the most revealing, vulnerable, self-loving moment of my life, Dick was sticking his dick in someone else. So when he showed up at my door, crying and begging for forgiveness, I finally thought, fuck this guy.
Isn't it not amazing how it all came down to it? The thing that finally got Anna out of this bad relationship. It's not her thinking of other people and the effects of what her actions have done to other people. But it is the fact that, once again, it is her solipsism and her recognition of the fact that Dick is not self-loving or not loving her as much as she is loving herself. Now, here's the thing. This is probably one of the few times the solipsism actually was good for her. I mean, she ended a bad relationship finally. Like, it was good for her, and I'm glad she went through it all. The only problem is that you shouldn't have had to go through all of this before you recognized that you needed to end this relationship. Because you went through way too fucking much And at the end of it all, you went through way too much, and you stopped your own child from fucking being before you finally got to saying that this relationship. And she doesn't even end the relationship because she recognizes the guy doesn't like her because of every other fucking thing he did, but because she went on a fucking retreat and she was like, oh hey, I like me, but he doesn't like me. It's like, it's still her thinking about herself and being solipsistic long before she's really thinking about like the effects that she has had on other people and even on Dick himself for that matter.
Out in the desert, I'd finally found some self-respect.
And that's the end of her video, and subsequently, the end of mine. Now, I know a lot of people probably aren't going to fucking watch this production. I know less are even going to get to this point. But if you do get to this point, you have watched all the way through this. First of all, thank you very much for indulging me up to this point. But I also want to say, and I hope to goodness that you guys get this. Your actions do not happen in a vacuum. I feel like Anna's overall point, even the title is just very misleading and just totally, not just so much wrong, but misguiding. You don't take your fucking birth control so that if you end up in a shitty relationship, you don't get pregnant by the guy. You pick good relationships and you recognize bad relationships and you avoid them so you don't have to sit here and be worried about your listen, however you fucking feel about contraceptives is one thing, okay? Like that's not really the point. And that's the thing. That shouldn't be the point. The conclusion shouldn't be I should have taken my birth control so when some dickhead fucks me I don't end up getting pregnant and having to get an abort. That shouldn't be it. It should be I need to recognize these awful relationships long before they get to this point. I need to not have sex with people that are having sex with other individuals who's showing me over and over again they don't like me, over and over again they're hurting me and they don't care. Over and over I'm trying my best to get this person to respond to me and to care and they don't care. It should, long before we get here, that should be the moral of the story. Not fucking birth control. Is birth control important? Absolutely. Should you take it if you don't want to have children? Yes. Should you take birth control so some douchebag doesn't impregnate you? Yeah. But you shouldn't be having sex with a fucking douchebag, you dumb son of a bitch. That's what should be taken from this. And the reason why I'm really passionate about this is, once again, this woman had the opportunity to bring life into this world. And her mind is not focused on whether or not she... What she could do to... You know, it's fucking miserable to me to hear anyone do this, you know? Just me personally. There's no logic in this, but just personally, it just sucks to hear someone was able to have the opportunity to raise a child, and instead they throw it away. And they claim, oh, I don't have enough money. Like welfare isn't a fucking thing. Like the government doesn't cut checks for you. You know, they pick guys who don't want children, and they become our fathers. They become the father of the next generation. Or the next generation doesn't even get to be, because they're killed long before they even get to develop and do their own person. And I feel like it happens way too much. This is what happens if you kill them. What happens if you don't kill them? They have an awful dad that never liked them. Some kids never even fucking meet. I meet kids almost every day who've never even met their father or have no idea what their father is even doing, and I see them every fucking day, and it's too much. And so if you made it to this point in the video, man, I'm not saying that every time you have sex with someone you gotta be trying to produce a kid. I'm not saying that. I've never said that. But guys, pick good relationships, man. Recognize the purpose of your relationships and be with good people who treat you well. With that being said, man, I just hope you guys got something out of today's video, and if you did, man, go and click that button. Yeah, shoot, go and click that. Comment in the comments below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.